Hi there, I'm Paul Kimball.
I'm Holly Stevens.
I'm Chelsea Comeau.
And I'm Dillon Garland.
And we're about to go
Beyond Haunted.
All right, so here we are, episode 2. Let's jump right into it. Let's not sort of beat around the bush. Let's not spend 30 minutes talking about things that don't matter. There's something that happened in this episode that we have to address.
I know.
Right off the bat, ghost dancing.
Ghost dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to go with Holly swearing, but no,
What?
ghost dancing is a lot better.
No,
I think ghost dancing was awesome. First of
It
all,
was pretty good.
visual proof I can't dance.
Agreed.
I think we can all agree on that.
I don't know. I think
From
everyone can dance.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
snap.
It's whether you can dance well.
Yeah. Everyone can dance, but not everyone can dance well.
all right, fine. I can't dance well, but you have to admit, it was a pretty good transition from ghost dancing to talking about shadow demons or people or whatever.
It's
One
my
of
favorite
my
transition
favorite.
of
Yeah.
the show. I think it's just, boom.
Why
There
I
were
do-
shadow people.
it takes me back to my university days in radio. There's a segue, people. Ghost dancing with Thomas Riddell. There's shadow people in this room, and yeah. So if you've seen that, that might be the most embarrassing and yet enthralling moment of my entire on-screen career. And I have to thank Holly, who was doing the crazy light effect and some
The
of
laser show, if you will.
the laser show. Yes, the Klingon Disruptor laser show. But that is not actually the most important moment in the episode, the one that will frighten everybody. What was the other one that we mentioned?
Oh, I don't know. It might have been something.
What the...
What?
Are we being serious? Or
No.
are we- Oh, Holly swearing.
Right.
Holly swore. Holly said a bad
Holly,
word.
shame on
I'm
you.
sorry.
You don't know the age of the ghosts.
Yeah.
It's true. You know what? I will apologize for that.
Good.
I'm sorry, ghosts, if I offended you with my language. I was taken off guard. My sincerest apologies if I offended you in any way, shape, or form. And to my audience members, again, I don't normally do that, but when something yells at you out of the darkness, sometimes you really just are not thinking about what you're saying.
Fuck that. I think
There we go. It's official.
we were so far down the offending ghost hole that
Ghost hole.
by the time you got around to dropping the F-bomb on whatever yelled at you, between ghost dancing and standing on the graves and God knows whatever else we did.
I didn't stand on the graves.
Even if you didn't, and we don't know exactly where they were buried, that's just an approximate place of where they're buried. Kim stood on their graves.
Yes, but that's...
Well, she was there, so I'm talking about not just the people sitting at
was
this
very
table.
specific. I was like, I'm not going in there. And she was like, oh, okay.
It's like that episode of
like
Ghost. You ever see that episode of Ghost Adventures? I'm looking at Dylan now, where he literally walks around the grave. Zach
He does it
Bagans.
whenever he it's funny, whenever he decides to get one of their demonologists in, he always meets them in the nearest graveyard. And yeah.
Well, where else would they go?
Denny's. I mean, if I'm a demonologist and I'm going to be all night up combating demons, I want a pretty good chicken steak, before I have to go out.
I was thinking Arby's actually.
Arby's would be fine. The Olive Garden,
There you go.
anywhere in the U.S., any of those great places. Carl's Jr., whatever. All right, fine. So we've talked. We beat around the bush. Holly was yelled at by... Now, check off the box, folks. Mrs. Gorham, option A. Random demon, option B. A walkie-talkie sound, option C. Or option D, Donald Trump.
I've got option E written on the top of my notes here. Something
Ooh.
following you
Oh,
or Holly.
okay.
Ooh.
Thank you for adding that.
So maybe not random demon.
long-
Maybe family friend demon.
As long as it's not Donald Trump. Oh, my God.
Yes, please. Actually, I would.
We're
Yeah.
being followed by Trump. Well, it's probably not Donald Trump, so that leaves us 4 other options. Now let's address with our sound person. Chelsea Comeau is here.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
You know what? Let's break down. It's good. Folks have talked. So here we have Chelsea and Holly. They were the ones on the ground right there. I was in with Linda Rafuse in a different room. I didn't actually hear it. I'm looking at Dylan, say you sort of heard it, but you weren't in the room.
I was so when you go in, there's like a doorway, a small hallway, and then it goes into the main archives room. I was just outside the door because I was. It was after a pretty long bit of filming. I was switching over the camera from the tripod to the shoulder mount, and that's when I heard it. That's why when you see me in the episode, I'm running in with just the camera in my hand.
So you heard it.
I
Just
heard
like with your normal ears.
what I thought I heard was Holly yelling. Once we actually listened to the audio and looked at everything, what I heard was the voice and then Holly, and then Holly inhaling. Because Holly didn't yell. She just inhaled very loudly, and the inhale had a little bit of character to the voice.
Right.
But yeah, I heard it all.
All right.
That's so cool.
So now I'm looking at Chelsea, who was on audio as our location sound recordist. What did you hear? How did this all go down with you? Because we see Holly walks off the screen, if you're watching it on TV, she walks away and our CCTV loses her. Then she walks back in, and we see her walking towards the spot by the table, and we hear your voice calling, Holly something or other. And then, whoa, and Holly, and you what? Because you walk in and you immediately turn around. So here we are. We didn't really touch upon Chelsea in the episode. So now we're interviewing Chelsea. What did you feel in that entire process, and what did you hear?
I felt terrified because I didn't know what Holly was doing. So I walk in, and I had to change the batteries in my thing. So everything I was wearing was shut down. I only had the headphones on my ears, and those are pretty noise canceling. But I did hear the voice, and then I see Holly jumping back and inhaling, I mean. And I was like, what is she doing? So I'm freaking out. She's freaking out because I'm like, what is she seeing? Or what is she hearing? Because I did hear it, but I thought it was her. I honestly thought it was her just like screaming and then inhaling. But it wasn't.
She jumped so far. If anybody ever wondered what would happen if Jessica and Roger Rabbit ever mated, it would be like Holly, 6 foot tall redhead that jumps like, sort of a
I'm really
rabbit.
glad you took it in that direction and not something else.
Well, no, that's like I felt like in the episode putting a sound effect in that went boing.
I'm really glad you didn't.
Like the way you jump back, I was like, oh my God, she's in danger. I have to jump back. And then I was like, nope, gotta go see what's up. So then I went to you.
And then you came back, yeah.
Yeah. At first it was like flight, and then I'm like, nope, gotta go see if she's okay.
Oh, so sweet.
From a selfish standpoint, I'm glad you backed away because it made the shot perfect.
Yeah, it was good. It was good cinema.
Well, I was not staying there for that.
Everybody sitting at home now, I have to ask this question. Mm-hmm. Did you really have a hot flash?
Okay, when I get scared,
I'm just saying because
No.
you said it.
when I get really, really scared, like in that instant, a wave of heat just like
Washes over you.
swoops through my body. So yeah, in a way, I did have a hot flash.
So Paul's the cold guy.
No,
Chelsea's
And
hot.
Chelsea's the
Oh, thanks.
yeah,
No problem.
the warmth.
you've
person.
clearly talked to every girl I ever dated. Paul's the cold guy. Have you been talking to my wife? Wait, hold on. And Chelsea from here on will be known as the hot flash
The
girl.
hot flash.
Great.
That's like a weird offset superhero.
I know. Yeah, it's
The
like
hot flash.
it's like Barry Allen trained a young girl as Flash, but it all went wrong.
I get really
I
warm
get hot.
when I'm scared.
I radiate heat as I run, but internally, not externally.
I mean, if I was outside in the cold, it would work well.
Yeah, or if in that moment you needed to melt some ice.
It would be perfect.
So one thing that I don't think we touched on in the episode was how loud it was to you. Because we've had how many conversations about this?
So many
Thousands.
conversations.
Because we still, I wrote down in my notes, I still have no idea what this is.
I know.
But you kind of talk about it in the episode a little bit, but you told me something like it felt how close to you?
Like as close as you are right now, which of course nobody can see, but it's about 3-4 feet away. So that was the shocking thing about it was, I mean, sometimes you're in a room and you hear something and you hear like a noise off in the corner, you can't quite place it or something above you, and it's really kind of creepy and weird. But this had, this took up space, even though I couldn't see it in the room. It was close, and that's why I jumped back, was because how close it felt to me. Like it was right in front of me.
I mean, like, I have those headphones on, and like I said, they are noise canceling, but I heard it.
Yeah.
I was like, 10 feet away from you, and I heard whatever that was, like, pretty good in my noise canceling headphones. Like,
And to give that context too, I'm wearing those headphones right now as we're recording this, and I can't hear you guys speak normally. All I'm hearing is,
yeah.
what's going through the actual Zoom recorder. You cannot hear anything from these headphones.
No.
So the fact that you heard that
Yeah.
is
I didn't
amazing.
realize, actually, Chelsea, that you'd heard it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's important to note, too, because I know people always think, well, did you guys fake this? Or are you putting this all on? Or blah, blah, blah. I value my reputation as a filmmaker, and so does Dillon, so we'd be the two on the hook here. You can actually hear in the episode, as Holly starts talking afterwards, you come in with the camera, and you can see Chelsea moves next to her, and she's fumbling with something, and what she's trying to do is get the audio
I
up
didn't
and going
have
in.
anything going.
So the audio you hear from the moment where it goes, oh, and Holly goes, and, Chelsea screams, and they all, until you'll hear a discernible point in the episode where the audio clicks in again.
Yeah.
And that's Chelsea getting it all ready. And that is the handheld audio recorder that's picking all that up. And there's no way that I could fix that. We didn't, you can't overdub it or anything. It's
all
just,
we have.
it is in real time as it's flowing along. And then and you would never normally do that in a television show unless you had to, because that's what you had to work with. And that's what we had to work with. And we were really on the fly, because you can see Dillon coming in. I found that shot on the CCTV, which it's great that we had that camera set up
Me
there.
walking in with the camera.
Yeah.
Anybody who's ever used a Blackmagic, it's the most awkward camera on the planet. It's just a cube. You cannot hold that and shoot anything. I very rarely would have done that. My only other option would have been to drag an entire tripod in with me, which was like, okay, this is the lesser of two evils here. I don't do it again because it's not a good way to shoot. So no, I would not shoot like that.
Let's go down the list of suspects who could have faked this.
Oh, really?
Jim wasn't there.
Nope.
So Jim's out. He wasn't there for the first two episodes, the first location, which was the first two episodes. I was in the lunchroom where we had set up the monitor station with Linda Rayfuse, and we had one of the walkie-talkies.
Yep.
And, you actually have camera footage of us, and, we didn't do it. So clear, Linda and I were clear. You were in the hallway, just outside, with Kim Bennett, right?
Yes. So I was right outside that door, fixing something taking the camera off the tripod. Kim went to walk into the bathroom. We never bring the walkies into the bathroom because, hey, that'd be awkward if we accidentally press the button. So she left it on a display case next to my head. So one of the walkies was there.
That's walkie number 2.
Walkie number 2. I believe I also had one on my person. Did I not?
There was 4 walkies.
4 walkies in total.
Walkie number 3 was on the table, which was
Okay.
Paul's.
That
So
was
you
mine.
had one.
And walkie number 4 was on me.
There we go. Okay. So they're all accounted for.
Because I immediately pick it up and try and test it.
Right. And then you hear it. Okay.
And then I think that's the noise. I think that's where it must have come from, except
except a very crucial point in that clip, which I hope people do recognize. There's a beep. There's no beep in that first one.
There's also a different sound.
Oh, it sounds...
So different.
And if it had come out of the walkie, it would have come out of the walkie on my hip at the same time.
Yeah.
And I had one
Next to you.
half a foot away from my ear.
Yeah.
And I did not hear anything. So it wasn't walking.
And on top of that, it gives off an electromagnetic field when
Which
it
you
goes
talk
off,
about, yeah.
which would have registered and did register when we tested it because the ED was set up on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, not the walkie-talkie. Was there anything else on that table that could make that kind of sound?
Unless audio can come out of the ADR in a
well, it's
reverse
recording.
form.
Yeah.
That's the only other thing that was there.
There's... we actually... pretty extensively. I've almost got an obsession with this one clip because it fascinates me.
Yeah, you and me both.
Well, I can't explain it. There's no explanation I give to this thing. We looked at everything that was on that table that was in that room. There's nothing.
Right, and we filmed long segments of that, a bit of which you see at the end of the episode that has been condensed for time. I mean, when we were in the cottage in Port Mattoon, right? When we were in the cottage in Port Mattoon, that was like an hour of footage where we went back and forth, and I've condensed that to 3 or 4 minutes. That's what television is. But I'm just going through it now on Beyond Haunted because people didn't see that, and we looked and listened to that over and over and over. Especially Dillon. Dillon went above and beyond.
Yeah.
There's one thing that didn't make the show that I thought was very interesting, technologically wise. Which is my favorite line of this whole show.
Coming soon to a T-shirt near you.
So if I think you may have released a little bit of this on Twitter, but I don't think this version made the final edit. When I slowed it down, when you slow something down, it turns into this, deep voice. Like when it slows down, the lower the pitch goes. If you speed it up, it sounds like chipmunks. That's kind of this universal thing. So when I slowed it down, Holly sounds like the deep voice, like it's slower. The voice, which is what I'm calling it now, goes higher. That does not make sense. It should go as low as you. the noise should be going low because I'm slowing it down. So when I played it, when it was slowed down, the voice had a higher pitch than when I listened to it normally. And I can't for the life of me explain how or why that's happening. It's bizarre. It is the most like, I've been doing this for a while. I've had a lot of weird errors in music videos I've done or sound or whatever. This makes no sense on any level, no matter how I look at it. It's bizarre.
That's why I love it.
Yeah.
It's not like we're morons.
Sure.
Well, not with this.
I've done this for 20 years. Dillon and Chelsea are educated and trained to do this, and they have a couple of years worth of experience. We know what we're doing. And I used to run a recording studio when I was a musician. I've dealt with sound for the last 20, 25 years of my life. I can't explain it. And especially after you ran it through and up and down, and I took the sound too and ran it through, the sound system we have here and tried different pitch corrections and all sorts of stuff. I mean, there's thousands of things you could do. I probably did dozens, and nothing about it makes any sense whatsoever. And yet I would still write it off as some sort of weird technical glitch, except for the fact you heard it. I'm looking at Holly now, in person, in real time.
Oh, it was there.
Right in front of you.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've had moments where the walkie-talkie's gone off before, and we don't get that skittish over it.
Well, we do.
You mean when someone presses the button or they've beeped or something?
I know the one you're talking about.
In a future episode, I think it's episode 7 or 8, episode 9, you'll see what we mean.
Yeah.
You folks will see when the walkie goes off in a weird way and what it sounds like when that happens.
But even then, none of us are jumping out of our seats.
Yeah.
We're just like, oh, what was that? That was weird.
Odd. Oh, no, and
Yeah. Holly, jump back. I have never seen this from the beginning and the end of the show. Something spooked you.
Well, so, yeah.
Like something more than more than a technological thing with like, oh, the walkies went off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm taking a moment to think here because there was a whole process for me. Of course, you don't see everything in the show because there's hours of me in that room, really. Mm-hmm. And I had spent time in that room opening myself up to the space, inviting things to come and communicate with me. And when I walked back in that room, I was expecting something. I was expecting, I don't know what. I was expecting communication. And so Chelsea actually startled me when she came behind me, and you see that. I turn around. But I'm looking in the direction that voice comes from before we hear it. And my head snaps back to that direction because there's something. I was looking for something. I felt like there was something there, and then something was there, and it was right in front of me. I just couldn't see it, but that's why I jumped back. It was in my space. It was close enough to touch me.
It's just the whole thing's weird. It's the one thing from this entire show. There's quite a few things that spooked me out. I think the future episode, the Seaside episode, was probably the most like real uneasy I was. Mm. But this has been the one that has kept me up late at night. Like, okay, what is that?
More than seeing a demon in your bedroom in Yarmouth?
Well, that literally kept me up at night because it felt like there was something in my shower.
More than seeing a picture potentially of a demon in another location, sort of a screen capture. This was because those were.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You were there for those.
Okay, so, let me change my statement. Audibly.
Yeah.
This is the biggest like. I don't know.
Because there's been so many weird little noises and stuff.
And there's one in Seaside that I won't talk about now.
I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
I don't know. This is my favorite audio that we've got.
This is the one I can't explain.
I like how Chelsea describes it. We're all like, this is the scariest. And she's like, this is my favorite audio.
Well, it scares me, but it's my favorite one.
It frightens me too. It still does. When I think of it, when I hear it, it still gives me chills.
It's weird to think that something was in the room while we were there.
I'm at a loss for words. That's me tapping a pen, which hopefully you can take out later because I'm uncomfortable. But yeah, there was something there. There was something else with us. I think there's no logical explanation except that I would not normally say this, I think that this was legitimately something paranormal. Mm. And I think it came from within that room, if not within that space or time, but it came from somewhere. And I don't know if that's why it's distorted and that's why it sounds different to us on the other side, but it came from somewhere. And what I'm hoping is that, one, people believe that this is real, and then two, people with more expertise than I are able to look at it and give us some information about where that comes from. And maybe it gives us just a little bit of like insight into this other world that is beyond our senses, because I've never heard anything like this before.
Well, actually, Dillon and I are leaving tomorrow for the United States to go visit several Denny's where we will talk to some demonologists.
Yes, which is
Several meetings.
Project D.
Project DD, double D, Denny's and
we're-
demonologists.
it's like the Piranha movie.
No, it's really
3DD. Well, I got a question for you, because you mentioned in the episode, Paul, that you mentioned that is it a warning? Which I thought was an interesting choice of words. Was it a warning or was it an attempt to connect?
Are you asking me or Paul?
I'm going to ask you, Holly, because you are the one that it decided was the person it was going to really jump at. Because you had a theory, and I don't know if you want to talk about it, about the overlapping times.
Did I?
I thought it was interesting.
I've thought and said a lot of things.
Maybe you don't remember this.
I may not remember. It might have been at 4 a.m. in the morning after I was like listening to it and just jabbering on. I think it was an attempt to communicate.
So you don't think it was malicious?
No.
Okay.
And in the moment when you guys ask me what happened, what did I hear, and I stumble over what I say because I said I heard something, and there's a big pause because I'm like, what did it do? It didn't yell at me. It was loud, but it didn't angrily yell at me in that way. It was close, and it was very loud, but I didn't feel like it was trying to hurt me. It scared the shit out of me. But I don't know if that was its intent.
What do you think, Paul?
Well, if I had to ascribe a motivation to it, it's a warning. And it's because we were all, okay, by we, I mean Holly and I in different ways, even Kim, were sort of ghost Nixon-y throughout that episode. And even in Dexter's, where I was goofing around with, demon portals and stuff. And joke.
An admission.
No, I've admitted it. One of us is willing to admit things like that, and one of us is not. We talked about that in the last episode. I've moved on. So, you're calling down for things. There's, in part, in the actual episode, it shows us conversing after this, and I say to you, did you ever consider that when you call something and say, possess X, which in this case was me, that it might not be too fussy about who it possesses or who it interacts with? So, and you and I were both involved in ghost dancing, me more with the dancing, but you doing the light and the woo sort of sounds. We were a little ghost Nixon-y for folks that listened to last episode. And I think if I had to choose between an attempt to communicate, I guess it was an attempt to communicate, but a warning, wait until you see episode 5. And actually, you know what? Episodes 3 and 4 in the Astor Theater, I think there are attempts to communicate, quotation marks there too. But when you get to episode 5, I actually think there is an audio anomaly that is as weird and frightening in its own way as this one. And we weren't going to use episode 5 or this particular location, which is Cooper's Inn in Charlottetown, in Shelburne, Nova Scotia. But we are now, and it's going in. And so, and we're not going to ruin it.
Whoa.
But when we get to Cooper's, there's something else that we can't explain, that we can rule out all the cast and crew members of having, we couldn't have done it. We know where everybody was and everything. And it's something that the audio recorder picked up in a room that ties into Dillon too. It was a room that just dreams and weird, spooky stuff.
Yeah.
And, that's...
And family connections.
And family connections and everything. But if it's real, it is as clear a message as you would ever get from whatever it is that's talking to you. Mm-hmm. Like, stop doing this. Now, actually, basically just get out and you'll hear it when you see it, folks. And so when I put things in context of the course of what we did before Queens County Museum, but also after, it's not to say that there's one thing constantly to us, but there might have been multiple things. Who knows? Maybe Mac Tony's and I were having fun, and maybe Lucy was there. There's another thing there, and maybe Annecy. All of that's possible, but there's this. And, to me, when I put it in context of everything else, including when we get to the final episode of the season and you and Yarmouth and some of the stuff that between you two and just everything. And the Nazis, forget about me calling ghost Nazis down, but then getting to Seaside and I mean, just everything that folks are going to see in this season. I think you can look at the first 2 episodes and go, maybe they open themselves up to something that is not friendly. And that's worth considering.
Now, there's one name you didn't mention in that list of things that it could have been. And I actually wrote down on my notes, do you think Mrs. Gorham enjoyed ghost dancing? You have you dancing in front of the lasers, and you fast cut to, there have been shadow people here. And as you're walking away, I'm clearly just putting the camera down to press cut. We end on Miss Gorham. And as you guys will see in the next 2 episodes, there may be a connection there. Do you think that should be a name on that potential list of...
Sure. If you believe that people from beyond the grave, I mean, Holly and Kim were either on the Gorham's grave or next to it and aiding, abetting somebody who was on it while calling for the possession of another cast member.
No harm.
Doesn't matter. I'm standing in front of Mrs. Gorham's photo, ghost dancing. I didn't even really think of where I was standing. And so, sure, if you believe that maybe people can come back and haunt you or whatever, in an afterlife, that Mrs. Gorham is a suspect. It's almost become a detective story now.
It's a whodunit, and I kind of love it.
Or a whatdunit.
I can see that.
Well, that's what I've kind of come to the conclusion of. I just think it's interesting that you call it a warning. Because I hadn't seen, I don't know what your narration is going to be until I watch the episode, right? And then when I hear you saying that, it's like, given what I know now, at the time I would have been like, oh, that's cool. But now that we've gone through all these locations and that we've been through this whole process together, I think I am more on the side of, you should stop this now. You're not quite aware of what you're getting into.
You know what? If it was a warning, it wasn't by somebody who was offended. It was by somebody who was trying to warn us of whatever else was there.
Which, I mean, to be fair, and this is...
That I can get on board with.
Sure. And we're theorizing.
Actually.
So I'm going to say this, and it might sound crazy to some, but that's fine. I would assume that if there is this, void of paranormal afterlife, the good can probably see the bad. Mm-hmm. Like, we are humans on Earth. I could go outside right now and see somebody get mugged. So it's not like we're separated by good and bad. Here are your realms, let's say. Mm-hmm. You never cross over. I would assume if there was something bad, the good could see that as well. So maybe you're right. Maybe something that you talked to that night was like, just so you know, you can't see it, but I can. Holly, stop. So it could be. I have no idea. That's what I love about it. I have no clue.
That kind of thought allows people to sleep at night. Oh, it was good, and it was trying to warn me of some bad stuff that was here. Thank you very much. Oh. But it's just as likely that if you want to go down that rabbit hole, the flip side is true. It was bad, and perhaps it was an attack. Forget warning. Perhaps it was a form of attack, psychic attack, or sort of. And I have plenty of friends. Well, not plenty, I suppose, but I have friends who are into this stuff, including who are familiar with exorcisms, have studied exorcisms, demonology, who are actually ordained ministers, and they will tell you that you can be attacked. So maybe this was a form of attack too. And so these are all possibilities.
Yeah.
So we have absolutely zero idea or answer as to what it was, but these are all possibilities that we have to consider. And as soon as you run into the possibility that it could have been an attack, you probably should stop.
I was just going to say, so let's say it's an attack. Let's just go down that little pathway for a second. Mm-hmm. Something was trying to psychically or mentally attack me or whoever else was there and heard it. How is that going to change you guys for season 2?
Well, wait for it. Let me go with this, or else I'll forget because I'm old. Yeah. So let's not assume this was the only attack. Let's go with the attack idea for a second.
Yeah.
Maybe you, Dillon, I'm pointing at Dillon now, were in some way attacked in your dreams. And folks, when they get to that episode...
Well, I was, yeah, okay.
Well, leaving aside seeing a demon in your room,
No,
too.
not that. In the dream, I was literally attacked.
Right. Yes, exactly. You
Yeah.
were at another location. I was physically attacked.
Yeah.
And folks will see that. And you too, I'm pointing at Dillon and Chelsea. We're right there where, and I've cut that together and you can see from multiple camera angles. And even my brother, who's an incredible skeptic, looked at it and said, yeah, I don't see anything there that would indicate that you tripped.
No.
And so I felt physically pushed, if you will. So, and those are just the ones that I can remember off the top of my head. So maybe this was an attack and there were other attacks. That's a possibility. Or maybe it's something trying to play with us. Now I'm going to try and lighten the mood and, pet us or something. But there's more than just one thing going on if you want to go down that attack rabbit hole. And so didn't mean to interrupt.
Attack
No,
rabbit
no, it's
hole,
fine.
like-
But now that we have that out there in context, go back to where you were headed.
So you lightened the mood, and I feel the need to darken it one more time, a little bit, and then we'll jump back into this.
Brace yourselves,
Obi-Wan
folks.
and Anakin.
Well, I'm just thinking that throughout this entire show, things tend to happen in succession. Like, we never really get this one isolated incident. It's always in the context of something else, or it builds to this moment. And I'm visualizing now that even in this moment, you were not alone. Chelsea was right behind you. The moment that you talked about, you were not alone. Me and Chelsea were there filming you.
I'm hearing the same name come up in
God,
all
it's
of
me.
these.
No. What I'm saying is that most of these things happen after a lot of other incidents. And I talk about this in Seaside, and I won't get too deep into it because I don't want to spoil it.
Right.
The energy concept. Something happens in Seaside that we still cannot explain, but what follows is like, well, that's weird. And my sister, who makes a cameo in that episode, has a good theory on that. What if it is an attack, but it hasn't been able to fulfill its attack because it hasn't gotten one of us alone yet? Because how many times has whatever has happened at these certain places kind of caught the attention of one of us, but because we're doing a show, we all go. Seaside being one for me because of the noise, and I'll leave it at that.
I like that. But again, spoilers galore. Not even casting blame this time. But in a certain house that we were staying at, two people separately experienced something that was dark and disturbing. And it doesn't matter where the first one sent or why, but it happened because Holly
Yep.
saw something, and then let's not argue, but
Yeah,
I think she made
let's
an
not
error,
argue.
but she still saw something. And then that something, for reasons that we can talk about down the road in that episode, wound up in Dillon's room. Both of them were alone late at night at that time. So, as much as I like your theory that it only hits us when we're with other people, I think I can think of 2 times. And if I go back to my own time in Chesky Krumlov, I can think of 3. Things do interact with us individually, and I think we've got 2 coming up, folks, in the episode. I don't think there's any in the Queens County Museum, were there? Trying to bring it back to the one we're supposed to be talking about. Yeah.
No. Well, the only devil's advocate, pardon the pun, I'm going to throw at you, is that how much energy were we giving that thing in Yarmouth House?
I don't know.
lot.
I went straight to bed.
The other incidents that I'm talking about, there's a lot of energy in the air, whether it's coming from what happened, which I won't spoil, or coming from us.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be, I don't know. It's just, it interests me because the one word that I remember, aside from the voice saying what we think it says, is warning. And it's kind of put me on edge since then. You asked me a question about season 2 earlier before we got into this. It doesn't change how I'm going to go about shooting anything. It changes how much energy I'm going to put out and how much time I'm going to focus on what seems like crap. And me and Paul have talked about this privately. It's like, you know what? I'm going to try my hardest. It's not like I can. Because, like, if again, back to the mugging thing, I could go down the street right now and somebody could seem like a really nice person and then they could mug you. So I don't know what's good or bad. But I'm going to try my hardest to not have my energy go into something that is clearly screwing with us. I'm going to shield, because I was not shielded this season.
You were.
At all.
They love it when you try and fight back.
Well, cool. Then maybe we'll get some. Maybe we can get that levitation bonus we talked about. Which,
Right?
for those who don't know, if anybody levitated on camera, there's a $5,000 pay raise
Yes.
Didn't happen in season 1, but
It's not a pay raise because that implies it
Bonus.
continues. It's a
Yeah.
one-off bonus.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, as I was thinking about people that were physically attacked or touched or whatever, you were too, Chelsea.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
In Ottawa House.
Oh, right.
And before that happened, Dillon and I had like
Oh.
we
Yeah,
were
you guys
just
are free. I almost feel like it was going around me to go to you guys.
Well,
creepy.
I won't say it because I don't want to spoil
Creepy.
it. But
no.
that was
I mean, it's like half an hour in the basement of a location where at one point it's just me and Dillon and a couple of GoPros, and it's okay. I was going to say it gets really weird, which
Okay.
sounds wrong,
Well, it does.
but it gets weird in a ghostly way. We don't want to bring human resources in here.
Yes.
Um,
Ugh.
Yeah. Wait, which are you shuddering for?
I don't know if I want to say it because I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, good. You're still talking about the ghost. Fine.
It's what I
That's-
saw
Oh, that's right.
during that,
Oh yeah.
which has still put me a little bit.
Plus
on
the
edge.
EMF as you. So we don't have to. This is not. It's a spoiler, but you don't even know when it's coming, folks. So Dillon sees something in another episode as I'm holding an EMF meter right at the spot where he sees. I guess we can say what it is: a darkness, right? A shadow.
I
What
saw
was
a
it?
face,
Right.
and it looked like a shoulder. And the second that my eye caught it, it's like it hid behind the pillar.
Right. And the EMF thing went, whink,
And
which
then-
is my sound for the lights all lit up. So,
And it was right. I just get cultures. It was right after Chelsea moved because of what happened to her. It was in again. It was in succession.
right.
Yeah. Plus, what came through the what?
Okay, but did you guys just ran right past that thing that Chelsea said where she felt like whatever had touched her felt like it was going by her to get to you guys?
Oh, hold on. I didn't run by. I did, but I was circling back. I'm like the
Yeah.
Flash racing around the earth. So now look, I've already been to Singapore and I'm back because I don't like where this is going.
I have a feeling I know where it's going.
There's another one where we're sitting on the stairs. And
in Cumberland.
no, in Barrington. And we have, I mean, these are things, this is why you should watch the show, folks.
Yeah.
Because we have a camera move where no camera
Right.
could possibly be moved. And then you literally can follow what happens. You see, I'm not a big orb fan, but within context, every now and then, and Holly had certainly one that was eventually profiled on A&E. Actually, they were so impressed by it from our Ghost Cases time at the Algonquin Inn. And if you look up Holly Stevens Ghost Cases and Orb, you'll find it.
Yeah.
So but that one was all about context. If you just saw the orb, who cares? But it's what Holly was thinking, what she was doing, where it went, everything about it puts it in context. So in this one that we're talking about in a few episodes coming up, you see an orb go in front of the camera moves, and there's no way it should have moved. And then you see, and you can literally track the time because we had multiple cameras with time code. Dillon and I are around the corner sitting on the stairs just talking about something, just setting up a shot. Can't even remember now. And you see these orbs like go fly by both of us, and then you see our heads react as if something brushed by us.
Like immediately.
Yeah. So it's like boom, 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 that kind of thing that just happens. I'm trying, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is there any episode where we didn't have something physical happen to either us or our gear?
No.
No.
Yeah, no.
I can't think of one.
Nope. Neither can I. So, great. Now we're all
Haunted?
scared. But haunted, yeah.
We're all haunted. I'm beyond haunted at this point.
Oh, nice.
Nice play,
Thanks for
Dylan.
tuning in, folks. We're not
We're
done
not
yet.
beating that.
We're going to be over half an hour and just maybe under an hour. That's the time we're shooting for. So like 50 to 60 minutes. So who is it after? Is it after all of us? Is it after any of us? Is it after us? What do you, Chelsea, we've done all the talking. What do you think of this attacking or warning theory?
I feel pretty safe. I don't know why, but I
Snap.
feel pretty safe. Nothing has really happened to me except for the weird touchy leg thing. But like I feel pretty like solid. But I'm also always near you guys because I am audio. So maybe it's like trying to get to me, but it's actually going to you guys.
Funny. Here's a question for you. There's a thing called room tone.
Yes.
And when you finish filming, folks,
Oh my God. Are you going to do this?
what you have to do is, so we filmed in this location here, our office. There's 5 rooms here. So you're done. And when you're editing, what you want is just the sound of silence in a particular room that if you have to cut something, you can use that as a bed track and room tone. You have to send a sound person back into all those rooms to record 30 seconds, 60 seconds of audio. So Chelsea.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to call you a fabricator or not. You feel perfectly safe and everything. But if you felt perfectly safe, one would think you'd have no problem going and doing room tone by yourself. And yet I can't remember one single time in the entire run of the series where you would go to any single room to do room tone alone.
I will never do room tone alone.
Which comes to my...
I'm actually terrified, but I bring one of you, so maybe if something attacks us, it'll get you first.
Oh, snap.
Did you know the one time that she was alone was in the Astor Theater?
Oh my god, I hated that.
I'm not sure if this made
When?
the episode or not, but she was sitting out in the hallway where there were reports of men spirits maybe antagonizing the female actors. 'Cause
Right.
it's-
Chelsea,
yeah.
what is going on with
She
you?
was there, and that was the
Mess.
one time where she texted me like, "Hey, can you come down in the hallway just for now?"
Oh, downstairs.
Was that when I was in the
Yes.
I'm
You
in
were
the basement alone, and we
yeah.
have footage of her, and you can see her
Yep.
look
I am
behind her as if
so
there was
uneasy.
something there.
Yep.
I did not like that space.
I hated it so much. And you weren't even that far away. Like, you were, like, in the basement, like, just
Across
down...
the door or something.
Yeah, across the door.
Oh, I found it interesting because I didn't feel anything in that space. Paul, I know you didn't. Jim didn't. Only the females felt weird
Really?
down there.
I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
it was
Well,
bizarre.
I did once I got inside, which is why folks will know when we get to the end of episode 4 what happened. Ghost coward, hashtag ghost coward. But
The basement, yes, but not that hallway.
oh
is
no,
what
the
I'm
hallway was no problem.
talking- Exactly.
I-
All the females felt really weird down there.
I
It was
couldn't.
Interesting.
I couldn't even face that way because I was like, I'm going to see something. I was so sure I was going to see something if I faced that way. So
Yeah.
that's why I was facing...
Because Kim Bennett had
Towards the
something
wall.
that didn't make the episode. We only have, an hour, but she had a whole story that in the Astor, she had something happen to her too, right? Or she felt something down there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she felt weird. She felt a presence.
She was saying that she felt like something was just there constantly,
Right.
and it was.
And that's how I felt. That's how I felt when I was just sitting there.
And it's funny because I didn't feel anything down there. You didn't feel
Really?
Jim never felt anything. Jim barely ever feels anything.
No,
Anyways,
it's
but
true.
not a bad thing. He's a
Jim.
skeptic.
He's heartless.
Every
I'm
team
just
needs
kidding.
one. So.
You spoke to all his former girlfriends too. Dylan's been doing his research on the
Wow.
Kimball brothers. So, okay, cool. Season 2, Chelsea does all the room tone alone.
Oh my god! If you want to see something, send me alone because I will start probably crying.
Why would you say that to the director of the show?
And the director of photography. I think
Actually,
we're both
there's-
nodding, going, "Yeah, we're going to do that."
There's
there you
one
go.
other place I hate doing room tone alone, but the courthouse, the
Oh, right, which won't even make the. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
the Yarmouth jail or the court?
no the courthouse. It won't make the. It's not
Right.
gonna make the
the old
thing.
Liverpool County Courthouse, which we did, and nothing, as far as I'm concerned, really happened. So it's an episode that is not going to make it on TV.
Yeah, but I had to go into like the holding area alone to do room tone, and I was so scared. I was terrified. I almost called one of you, but I'm like, they're literally 2 feet beyond the wall. I'm fine, and I was so uneasy.
I remember feeling weird down there too.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
the
it was
only part,
gross.
the courthouse didn't get me too bad. There's some spaces that I feel like I don't think anything's going to beat Cooper's because I literally dreamed about it before I got there. But in most spaces, I don't.
Spoiler.
Well, it's not a spoiler. It's a preview.
Because he talks about the dreaming
Yeah.
in the Astor Theater episode.
There you go,
But
which is coming up next.
But it didn't make the episode, but he actually explained it to me 2 days beforehand at a previous
yeah.
location. And then when we got there, you'll see what happens. But boom, that's the place, Paul.
But that place felt weird.
Yeah.
Not at the beginning of the day, which is weird for me because usually if a spot feels weird, it'll feel weird the whole night. That felt fine during the day, and even during the evening when the sun was already down. Something about later on,
Yeah.
the jail cells or the holding areas. It was weird.
That whole place had unusual EMF activity.
Well, I
Yeah, you were
had
saying.
the wireless mics weren't even working that well because of so much energy going through.
Yeah,
It was just a bizarre place.
Yeah, like it was very in that respect.
So something we didn't really talk about, which we should probably talk about, is the ending of this episode.
Yeah. I was just going to say, we should talk about the rest of the episode.
We're getting too excited because now we're making connections.
We're going crazy, folks. We're down the rabbit hole.
So Holly,
Yes.
what did you hear once you actually got in a scenario where you could listen to it, properly without?
Well,
other
everyone
noise?
saw the episode.
Yeah.
I heard my name.
Yep. Which I did not hear at first, but the more I listened to it, the more I could tell that under your inhale, it continued. which I thought it just stopped.
No, the voice continues underneath me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
Thoughts on it saying my name?
Yeah.
Well, if I'm not making that up, and I don't know that I could be, as in hearing it, because nobody gave it to me, and you heard it and just asked me what I heard.
Because I was very particular.
Not to feed the name to me, yeah.
Because I showed your mom.
What?
I'm pretty sure, because she was down for one of the episodes, the courthouse episode, was she not?
Yes.
I showed her without telling her anything. She heard your name. I showed my mom, who doesn't even know you. I said, what do you hear in this? She said your name.
I can go one further. I showed my wife, and she heard your name too.
Yeah. And that was and that's why when I showed you, like, what do you hear? Because I didn't want to put it in your head. Because the second you put it in somebody's head, then that's what they're going to hear.
I knew that you had showed your mother.
But I didn't tell you what she said. She heard your name.
I didn't know that you had showed my mother, and I
She heard
didn't
your
know that Linda had heard it. Paul, that's...
And I can't speak for Linda, but your mother and my mother, one single listen. And they said, oh, yeah, that says Holly.
Same here. Yep.
Yeah.
I just played it on the computer, the edited version, and which you'll see this week, because at the end, we play the audio back. So you folks who stuck around to the end of the episode, who got through ghost dancing, didn't turn it off, will see, Dillon, it was a very long segment, but part of what Dillon did to recreate the sound, and this is the segment we used, you hear, I hear it.
Paul, inhale.
Yeah.
And under the inhale.
That's me.
Yes. Yeah.
Very short, but it's there.
And it's also not the only time in the series that you're going to hear something say Holly's name.
Well,
That's
I'm
very
very
true.
inviting. I tell spaces in the environment that I'm in what my name is every single time. My name is Holly.
Well, that's why I think it's so interesting that it said your name, because we joke about being ghost Nixons, and if you missed the last episode, first off, go listen to it. It's a great episode. Second off,
It's awesome.
It basically translates to ghost jerks. We were being ghost jerks. You were kind of the one in that episode that was more friendly and inviting to
The spirits?
Once we got to the point of Lucy, and then we realized that maybe
She was very inviting.
Yeah.
I'm always
like from
friendly
the
inviting to
afternoon,
the
she was
spirits.
inviting.
you in
Come
the
on
episode.
down and possess Paul. Possess Paul.
I know you make fun of me, Paul, for that, and it's true. I did that, but I don't antagonize the spirits, and I never do.
You're
true.
kind of the one that doesn't joke about it. Which, on the point of Holly's guests, you did sit on one in this episode too.
Oh yeah.
My God, that was...
Okay, two things. First of all, she was involved in ghost dancing, so she
Yes.
was an accessory to antagonizing whatever might have been there. I'm just
No,
Sure.
but I'm not making fun of anything.
I'm pretty sure we were making fun of whatever was in that room, and
Well, it may have
roundabout
taken
way.
it that way, but I mean, let's be realistic here. Dancing isn't a bad thing. It may offend people, but that doesn't mean it's wrong.
It's like-
Unless someone's trying to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, Dillon. Yes.
It's
okay,
it's
fine.
like talking to Trump. She'll never take responsibility
Ew,
for anything.
Are you kidding me?
On the responsibility angle. So, okay, but let's just move on from the fact that you were implicated in ghost dancing, because
Holly
maybe
put
it,
down the knife.
maybe it enjoyed it. It might
It's
have
a
enjoyed
pen,
ghost
Dillon.
dancing.
It's a pen, but it'll still hurt.
I got one of those too. Plus, you've got Wonder Woman. I've got Batman. I think it's Cheetah we have to worry about. We all have little action figures in front of us.
We're that cool, people.
Yeah.
Totally cool. And we've got South Park coasters, which we're not going to tell you what they say because we've blown out the PG, but we can't go to NC-17. So
There you go.
So where were we going with that?
You were saying that I was offending things with ghost dancing.
No, I was just saying that was one part of the overarching thing where we were all a little... No, there's no question I'm more Ghost Nixon. It's who I am.
Especially in episode 3.
Yeah, Dillon can be a little Ghost Nixon too. Chelsea's clean. I've never seen her make
Chelsea's
fun of
clean.
anything. And Jim generally stays away from it too. And Kim, the few episodes she was in, she didn't do any of that stuff. Oh, except for the grave. She
Well,
was
she
involved
did
in
walk
the grave.
on the grave. I did say I don't think we should do that. She
Right.
was-
So a little bit of that. But, generally speaking, I'd be the gold medalist, you'd be the silver medalist, Dillon, and Holly is distantly behind in the bronze medal.
Yes.
I'm willing to stipulate to that. So,
I like that.
Yeah.
but still bronze medalist. So what is it with horse racing? Win, place, and show. That's us. And by win, I mean lose. But so when I do this this kind of stuff, there's no question. Next week, folks, in the Astor Theater, you'll see it. Dillon's giving me the look because he almost quit the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe it's like if you have a still lake, like there's the water and there's nothing, and you take a big rock and you throw the big rock in the water and then splash, and maybe it gets on a frog and the frog jumps up and bites you and with poison because it's angry.
Or like the Lord of the Rings, the thing comes out of the water.
Sure.
The Mines of Moria.
Thank you.
thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that thing. Sure. Yeah.
Don't disturb the water, Paul.
Right. Like Excalibur. Don't throw the sword in, the hand will come up, So maybe that's what we're doing. Maybe we've disturbed something. Maybe we've poked a hornet's nest.
Ew, why hornets?
Yeah.
Yeah, they suck.
I got a way to bring up the mood. Because this is a very scary episode of Beyond Haunted.
Who listens to a podcast of paranormal and expects it to be light?
Is it time for ghost dancing?
No.
Oh.
But
Thank you.
Because I've had a theory since the
Love
beginning of this. Theory changed into demonic, once we got to a certain episode, but Yarmouth. But I always thought that, okay, it was very interesting that Holly was very accepting and inviting to whatever was in the room. And the more that we learned about the kids, whether it was Lucy or Anne, it kind of matched up with what was happening. And I always thought it was interesting that you talked to whatever was in the room, invited it to come speak with you alone. Mm-hmm. And if you listen to it, it sounds like somebody saying Holly. Mm-hmm. But your reaction maybe scared it.
Yeah.
And I've always thought it was an interesting... Here's the light to the dark. Because I have so many theories on this noise. What if it was trying to communicate with you? Because we were using the term Lucy for most of this. What if you were talking to Lucy or Anne or somebody, and it was just saying Holly, because you had said your name. Paul had said your name. Kim had said your name. I had said your name.
I just said your
Chelsea
name.
just said your name.
Yeah.
What if it was somebody just replicating what I heard, and it's like, oh, you must be Holly. And that's what got through.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, reactionary.
It was loud.
Yeah, maybe we scared it away. I don't know.
Exactly. That's why
Maybe it isn't a warning. Maybe it's just communication through something innocent.
On every episode, I think it should be like a separate Olympics. So in terms of ghost nixoning, actually in this episode, Holly calling for possession, I think that's a gold medal right there in and of itself. But you've reminded me, and I know what I meant to say now, the cold in the ghost chair, I call it ghost chair, which is an interesting segment for me. So let's just say we're talking to a group of 10 random people, and I wonder how they'd view it. What happens, 10 random people? You have somebody sitting in a room, and here's what she does. And now this is an allegedly haunted room. She says, if there's anyone here, please make contact or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Followed by,
Does sound like me.
Paul, can you come in here for a second? Sure, with a waiting chair for, said Paul. Paul, sits down in the chair or trap, and the hashtag gold medalist, hashtag ghost trap for Paul. And then immediately, because you can see it,
You're going to regret that hashtag.
there's the temperature gauge. I mean, literally, boom, whoa, it's getting cold. And then, she plays sweet and innocent until then you hear her go, oh, Paul, I totally forgot. I opened the room up and more or less told him to sit there, and now you're sitting there.
I said sit at the table.
Right.
From now on, anytime you come into a room where I've been, I'm pretty much safe to say that if we're filming, I've invited whatever is there to communicate with me. That's what you pay me to do.
Here's the difference between you guys.
Uh-oh.
Holly invites whatever's there. Paul invites whatever's out there.
Yeah, totally
Yeah.
random, man.
We come together and then we all kumbaya. It's great.
Yeah, kumbaya.
I do want to say one thing, because I wrote down debunking because I thought it was a good segment where we debunk the
Noise.
drawer there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like how many times do we kind of think it's something and then it's nothing? It's important. It happens. We're doing a ghost hunting show. Like there's a lot that, oh, well, that was nothing. Never mind. One thing I have to debunk, which I thought was funny because when I watched the episode, it really killed me. When Paul is there's narration, but when Paul is talking to Linda in the back room and the top of the garbage pail is moving, it's not paranormal. It was, as you see in the beginning of that scene, it was up And during that, I asked Paul to put it down because it was bugging me as a cinematographer. So just so you know, debunked, not paranormal.
Not haunted garbage can. I
There
did
you
notice
go.
that too. I was like, huh.
Hashtag haunted garbage.
Although
Don't use that, please.
I do think that when Dillon made that request and when I followed through on it, we were both temporarily possessed
Maybe.
by the spirit of Gorgon.
There it is, folks.
All right, so I have to ask a question now. I just have to know.
It'd be terrible if there was a demon known as Gorgon and he's like, I have no idea why these people are talking about me.
Why do you keep using my name?
I know.
Stop, please.
I've got things to do in the 3rd level of hell to get promoted to the 4th level.
Okay, I have to ask all of you here, and
Yes.
all of you guys. I mean, you guys can answer too.
Us
out there.
3
Yes.
or us 4? And that was a joke. Never mind.
Creepy. There's only 4 of us here. That's fun. See what I have to deal with? Anyway, I want to ask you guys, in the spirit of what you do on this show, no pun intended, if given the opportunity to be possessed by an entity in a non-harmful way, you are still in control of your body, but you could experience another being temporarily, and we get it on film,
Yes.
would you or would you not be willing to participate in that, Chelsea? Go.
Oh God. I was hoping you weren't going to start with me first. I'm just kidding. In a non-harmful
You're
way,
not mentally or physically harmed, you have an experience.
and it'll like go away.
It goes away.
Yes.
Dylan.
Well, it was tough to get the rabid raccoon to sign said contract of not harming the kindergarten kids, but I don't know if there's any entity out there that is going to abide by our human
I'm
rules.
just asking you.
So you're asking in a complete scenario of, for a fact this is going to happen, would I do it?
Yes, assuming that if there was a spirit or some entity of energy that was there, and you could have it come into you
Temporarily.
and temporarily,
Okay.
no harm,
Right.
to experience that and actually know that that existed, and we get it on camera, so it's in the show. Would you or would you not be willing to participate in that?
1, I think I don't get paid enough to do that.
Hey, that's not the question.
2, I'm on, this is a serious answer.
Yeah.
I think I'm on the verge of don't ask, don't tell with this. I don't know if I'd want to know that one single good entity could possess me, because what stops anything else from possessing me?
Well, that you're opening up another door there.
That's what the thing. Do I want to know to that extent? I
Yes.
don't know yet.
Are you? That's my question.
I don't know if I can give you a straight answer.
That would give
because
you a definitive kind of, now you, like, mentally you're communing. You're understanding the other part of the universe for a couple of seconds.
given what I experienced on season 1,
Yes.
I would probably say no.
Say no. Okay, fair enough. Now I know.
Yeah.
Paul?
What are you planning?
I finally figured out who Holly is. She's not the ghost Trump. I was totally wrong about that.
Oh, please, no.
She is the J. Robert Oppenheimer of ghost hunting. And I'll explain that. So,
Please.
look, here we are. We can create nuclear weapons. Now, I have split the atom. I have all of this stuff. But, I mean, clearly, who would ever use this for bad? So Holly will be like, attention, creatures or whatever might be out there, in a non-harmful way. Could you please come down and possess the only person at this table that said yes, Chelsea? Because I'm saying no, because I know better. But Chelsea said yes. So could you please come down in a non-harmful way, of course, obviously, and possess Chelsea, calling only good. So there's J. Robert Oppenheimer saying, I've split the atom and built this thing. And meanwhile, there's a ghost Harry Truman up there, or Hitler, or anybody else that would go, you know what? I like the cut of this bomb's jib. Kaboom! And the next thing you know, we see Chelsea, sort of
Yeah, okay.
on
I see your
CNN.
point.
See, I said yes to that scenario.
Oh,
Don't
my
ever
God.
put anything
I'm
on
never
me.
gonna. No. And I mean, I did that with Paul because he was doing his whole like, "Hey, Holly, there's a portal that I've opened and there's
Yeah.
demons,
it's
and
not-
go have
yeah.
fun."
That's not why you did it.
Your scenario, yes. Other scenarios, no.
But it's the only scenario because I have talked to exorcists and demonologists and, ordained ministers and psychics. Every one of them in a different way will tell you never open yourself up to, because it's like leaving the door of your house open in the middle of, a big city. It's true. It could be your grandmother that comes by and walks in, maybe. It's more likely that it's somebody that means you harm or that wants to take advantage of a situation. I think it's very dangerous
I just heard knocking in the other room.
We get that a lot in this in our office here.
I
actually.
heard something, but I thought it was outside.
Oh, it might be the fridge.
And
Oh,
Dylan,
we'll say it's the fridge.
and Dylan's seen shadows in here too.
Well, I'll let you finish your point, but yeah.
Well, no, that's the end of my point.
Yeah,
And
okay,
I'm
maybe
as-
I changed my mind. No?
Now it's
Oh,
too
look,
late.
okay, here's my...
and I haven't been innocent of this either. I cop to doing it more than once. I absolutely and bad. I shouldn't have done it. And you know what? I'm going to do it again. But
Here-
as you say, I throw it out there into the ether, and
Yes.
that's a mistake too.
Yes.
Sure.
Holly particularizes it to people and individuals and places and time.
Here's my question, though.
I'm not saying one's worse or better than the other.
Here's my question. What do you think protects you when you do this, then?
Nothing, because I'm an
That's a
an
problem.
idiot.
That's a problem.
Well, what do you think protects you? Oh wait, you never call it down on yourself, do you? So
I mean, I given what we've gone through, I would hope in a perfect scenario, and I can't. There's nothing I can say that's like, this is definitely how it goes. I would hope loved ones that have passed on would watch over their families when, whatever is after this human life. But it's not like I can call them and
No.
say, hey, there's something in my shower. Could you deal with that? Like, there's no way for
Sorry,
me to...
I don't mean to laugh, but it's just the
No,
way
well,
you put
no,
it.
that's a... Yeah.
well, here's what could protect you. Holly, no matter what you might think, Lalawin, you're not an 8th level wizard or anything. None of us have these powers.
Do not mock my D&D character.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say, do not mock my demony character, but none of us have the power, I don't think, to call down, bind, whatever, if you believe in any of this stuff. So you can say something come down and possess Paul. I in all seriousness, I don't think, clearly I wasn't possessed as far as I know. I do think of the two different things that you and I do, which you'll never admit to and I do. Mine is more dangerous because
Yeah.
I do open a space up, whereas I think you might have caused Dylan a problem once during the series. No, but generally speaking, I have the potential to cause problems all the time. I'm like,
Granted.
Who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe your problem was what led to her problem with me.
That's true.
you never know. We don't know. But I think maybe we should all just stop. Like maybe
Well, that's not going to happen.
No, probably not.
I do think that if whatever we're dealing with is a form of energy, and the only way that you can have any protection from that is with energy from yourself. So if you want to say that sounds sappy or spiritual or whatever, that is what I believe. And there's certainly been many times after shooting where I get that weird, eerie, creepy feeling that maybe something is still here, and I have to shut it down. Somebody asked me, like, what do you do? Like, you just like, you have to, like, in your mind be like, nope, not now, away. Whether that works or not, I have no idea.
Away to the room across the hall.
Funny.
No, that's not what I meant.
So
That's not what I meant. I'm just saying it's,
we're overtime on Beyond Haunted now, but we're going over because I like where this is headed.
well, someone asked us on Facebook.
It's true.
What do you do to prepare yourself? What's your what did they say? It's your vaccine for rabies before you go in. And for me, it's more of it's what I do afterwards. It's we're done here. You have to stay. I'm going to go.
Here's a segment I like to call Before Haunted. So that was the new Before Haunted music. So this is time traveling
I like it.
back to our Ghost Cases days. And I just want to ask Holly, and I think this episode can be viewed online, and I don't think this part is in the episode, but do you remember being in a location in Yarmouth where I went in to get a chicken sandwich? So I was walking to the kitchen of this inn we were doing it at. And I came out and I saw you, now memory's fuzzy after 8 years, crying or certainly tremendously upset standing in the hallway.
Yes.
And we had to have one of those rare Paul does something half decent moments where I actually had to hug you and sort of try and, talk you down or calm you down because you were totally
Yes.
out of sorts. So perhaps you could describe that experience for our two young friends here and the audience. We're talking about Churchill Mansion in
Yes.
Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, and what you felt there, which ties into this idea that you can just wall yourself off from it. Because, little moment of levity before we go in, you and I wound up sleeping in the same room that night because
Was it that night?
there were two beds in that room.
There you go.
She came down to my room, knocked on the door, and would you come down to my room because she didn't want to sleep in the room that was haunted. This is what this place did to Holly.
That was the second night?
That was the second night. Yeah.
First night I did.
Right.
So where was this?
This
Churchill
is Churchill
Mansion.
Mansion in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. And
So
supposedly one of the most haunted locations in North America, frankly.
Yeah.
So that's a little weird.
So let it roll. So let Holly tell the story,
Yeah.
and then you can come in with the weird thing, and then I can add the cherry on top,
Oh,
which
fantastic.
which was not known at the
Can't
time.
wait.
So there's a couple things there. I think, I mean, when you think of a space, if it's haunted or not, and you have either spirits that have passed that are there, or you have energy imprinted on the environment, I think different people set that energy off or not. And I think that has to do with who they are. So my past may interact with an environment because of who I am, and someone else may or may not have that same experience. Churchill Mansion was very difficult for me because there was an aggressive male figure in the house that was reportedly there.
Which all the other female members of our crew felt in lesser degrees. Both Christina and Melissa said they felt weird in the place, but you were in a different place.
Yeah. Both in my life and there. I don't know if that place would still affect me the same way now. It was a long time ago, and I'm a different person. However, that type of energy does tend to reach my core, if you want to put it that way.
Right, and you weren't able to wall yourself off.
There was 2 instances in that house that I can at least think of where I felt a pressure or a presence of something come towards me, and I had to push back with my own energy. One was when you saw me in the back by the kitchen, and the other one was actually. I think we were on camera, and we were in what was the room that you were in?
Oh, the honeymoon suite.
Sure. Yes, we'll call
burning
it
in
the
love in the honeymoon suite.
honeymoon suite.
Well, no, that's what it was. It was the honeymoon
but
suite.
that was also the
Jacuzzi room.
no. What's the
Well, it had a jacuzzi. We had a fight.
Mr. Churchill?
Yes, yeah.
That was his room.
Yeah,
That happened there as well.
right.
Long silence.
Yeah, it just goes back to your thing where you can wall yourself off, and I'm not sure any of us. It might maybe 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100 you could wall yourself off, but we always have to be careful of that one time where it finds. And if it is something bad, and I don't know if it is, but bad people. It's like Seven, the movie with Kevin Spacey where he plays the psycho killer. And he finds the things in each of the people to manipulate them. He finds what's particular to them that they either fear or have as an issue, whatever. And he uses it against them. I would think that that's generally speaking how these people work and or how these entities would work. So that's why the idea that we can protect ourselves from it, just as we're not trained to bring it down, I'm not sure we're particularly trained to push it away if it does come down.
Sure.
So this is my kindly warning to everyone by going before haunted to bring up an experience from the past that where maybe we couldn't, although we get out of there alive.
Oh yeah, I mean we joke, but yeah,
Clearly.
I do believe you have to be careful with this stuff. I've said it to you before. I think you're playing with fire.
Yeah, that's true. That was probably the most used quote during ghost cases. So you were going to come up with a point coming out of that, though.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know where Churchill Mansion was until now.
What do you mean you didn't know where it was?
I just haven't done. It wasn't one of our locations. I hadn't really done
No,
research.
but you know of the location.
Well, no, I know of Yarmouth because that's the place that I was the most uneasy this entire season.
Right.
So I'm just as you're explaining what you've gone through, I kind of feel this weird, almost a kind of it's just weird PTSD or deja vu thing with that Yarmouth. Because Paul, you cannot pay me enough to go back to that Yarmouth house.
Really?
I will go to a hotel down the road. I'll pay for it myself. I don't care.
Hashtag yes, I can.
Well, catch me on an off day. But I just, what were you feeling? Was anything that you felt in Churchill Mansion? Anything at all? Can you relate that to Yarmouth?
The place in Yarmouth?
What you felt
Yes.
before you decided to send it over?
Now that you mention it, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Whoa.
So I'm curious.
That was
Oh,
a
shit.
That was a serious whoa. That's not me making fun of them. They've just drawn a connection over space and time between 8 years in the same location.
That was
Well,
the same.
That's as you explained that, I'm like, wow, cool. I felt that. Not so much I had to push it away because maybe I didn't know how to push it away, but I couldn't block it off. I tried very hard. I couldn't. And this was, as we see throughout the show, that started in your room.
Oh, shit.
And it's in Yarmouth. I just find it. Anyways, I hate to get into this
So-
in this
Wow,
episode.
that's-
but
So
That's
Chelsea
deep.
and Paul are
That's
like, all right,
deep.
McDonald's, we're out of
I know,
here.
That's
See, I
deep.
feel like super safe. I don't know why. I felt like cool the whole time, but I think
I-
I'm focusing on you guys so much that I'm just like blocking anything
I
out.
think it's
I haven't
cool,
felt like
Chels.
this since Yarmouth House.
Well, here's your
Talking about this.
Here's the theory. You told me you think that I'm not the culprit, but somehow maybe you were joking. It's following me. For some reason, did you not say that at some point to me?
I did because the only paranormal instance that I've had since we've ended the show, not ended the show, but finished off the season, was in this office, in your room, in your office, and we were watching through footage, and it looked like a shadow passed by your head on the wall.
And I am the shadow man from Chesky Krumlov. Read my book. Hashtag read my book. So here's the punchline about Yarmouth.
Oh, Christ.
What?
What we did not know in 2008, was it? No, it was 2009, February, I think, of 2009, is guess who's related to Aaron Churchill? Who is this person who owned this house?
You are.
Me.
Are you serious?
oh my god.
And Jim, of course, and all the rest of my family. Yes, we're related to the Churchill family.
What the hell?
I'm Paul Kimball. This is Holly Stevens, Chelsea Comeau, Dillon Garland, and we've been Beyond Haunted.